Hope you're having a good Saturday evening. This is Tim with you, and we've had a couple of tropical type thunderstorms come through this afternoon. This is a shot around 4 o'clock here, and we're seeing a pretty a lot of chaotic looking cumulus clouds, a lot of debris, mid-level and high-level debris, and most of that has passed to the south, and what you're seeing there is about 10 minutes ago. So most of the moisture is in the upper levels now, in the upper troposphere. So most of the bases you were seeing on that clip were up at about 8 to 9,000, so way up there. This is the pattern we have on the surface chart. I'm looking at the SPC mesoscale analysis. We're showing northeasterly flow across Texas. It's a nice change from the 102 we had yesterday. So we got 91 there at Dallas and 86 at Oklahoma City. It's looking pretty good, and that push of cold air has pushed most of the convection down to the south along the I-10 area. So we haven't seen much in the way of anything severe because the upper levels are still a little bit on the warm side, and the moisture towards I-35 has been a little bit limited. The dew point depressions have been a little bit high, but still enough to get a little bit of rain here and there. I still had to water my garden out there. I think what we got barely wet the ground, but the cool weather is nice. And another thing you can really see here is the dew points. That's the figure in the lower left. So we have these 57 here dew points coming into Oklahoma, 50 out at Sweetwater, and 63 at Mineral Wells. That's a little less moist, but this is dry air that's filtering south. And in stratiform type situations we get in the wintertime, that can be very important in cooling down. We call that process wet bulbing. So when we bring this dry air south out of, say, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and say dew points are around 5 to 10 with air temperatures of about 35, if you rain into that air mass and wet bulb it till the humidity is about 100%, you can drop that down to about 20 degrees. So that can be a very important source of cooling, and that can transition rain over to snow pretty easy. So it's the dry air, not just the cold air, that's important in the wintertime. So if we keep running these webcasts into the winter, we'll certainly get to see some of that. All right, let's see what else is going on here. I was kind of hurried in putting this together, so I'm going to have to click the link. So let me get that visible image. That water vapor image we sometimes look at. You remember a couple of weeks ago we were seeing that monsoon flow across the southwest, but now we're getting this very striated appearance. It's a big change from what we had. If you run these webcasts back to about around August 1st, July 20th, 25th, around there, that you would see more of a monsoon pattern. But now we have jet stream energy involved, and you can see way out to the west over the Pacific, there's a lot of subsidence here, a lot of dynamic subsidence. So that's coming on in, and that's one reason we're getting a lot of the showers today. That's helping is the upper level winds. So that's helping to bring up the bulk shears, helping to ventilate some of the storms, and that's very important this time of year. So down to the south, there's that area of convection around the Houston area, and I might be able to pull that up on the WSR 88D. Yeah, okay, so that just came up. So this just looks like weak thunderstorms and large area of showers. A lot of this is mid-level rain. So the main action we're looking at is probably right here. You might get some 25, 30 mile an hour winds out of that because it does have that bow appearance. But I think in terms of velocity, those are going to be kind of on the weak side. So we're sampling up at about 3,000 feet, showing about 35 knots. So yeah, on the ground, probably 20 knots at best, I would think. We can take a look at spectrum width, and it doesn't show anything, but that's good. It shows us that on some days this product doesn't really help. I can see some little fine line in here. I wonder if that corresponds to the boundary out ahead of that. Yeah, that's what that is right there. That's pretty far from the radar. Once you start getting about 20 or 30 miles, the spectrum width is a little less, you get a little less in the way of useful information out of that since it's overshooting everything. Anyway, I'm going to have to wrap this up early because I have to head to a restaurant this afternoon or this evening, and I don't really want to be late for that, but let me just see if there's anything else going on. Looks like some flood warnings, probably some sort of MCS across the Midwest. Looks like more heat has come back out across the Oregon area, and heat up in the northeast too. So we're sitting in this trough, which is a good place to be, and that's helping to cool us down a bit. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to have to probably stop this a little bit early since I got stuff going on, but I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you tomorrow night.